It's Evelyn Ackah from Ackah Business Immigration Law. I hope you're well. I'm also today on our Ask Canada Immigration Lawyer Evelyn Ackah podcast. If you're listening to this on the podcast or on LinkedIn Live or on YouTube, please do sign up so that you can get all the latest and greatest information from our incredible law firm where we can teach you more about what's happening in immigration law. Today, we're going to focus on what's new in immigration law. I've been gone for a few weeks on vacation, and so much has happened in my absence that I thought we would go through some of these changes so that you are up to date and fully aware of what's happening. So one thing I want to talk about first is Canada's passport validity rule. You can, a lot of questions we get asked, can you enter Canada with less than 6 months on your passport? And the Canadian government requires that you must have a passport that has a validity of at least 6 months. There are a few exceptions. For instance, if you are an American coming to Canada, that is fine, but you always need to check and make sure. We've been getting questions about this, even for people who are on cruises, wondering about the issues of validity of passports. And even one of our team members encountered this situation. You must have 6 months validity. There's only some few exceptions if you are an American citizen because you're contiguous to Canada and you're coming through. And it is only an exception for American citizens that are coming into Canada. So I want to just make sure this makes sense. And if you have other questions related to this, feel free to give us a call at Ackah Business Immigration Law. The other thing I want to talk about today that's new is about immigration fraud. Something has happened while I was gone where it seemed like up to 700 international students are facing deportation from Canada because they worked with different immigration consultants or agents who fraudulently gave them letters of acceptance to Canadian universities or colleges. This is significant. Up to 700 international students are now dealing with the possibility of being deported because they did not work with a reputable lawyer who had this information. I was interviewed recently for CBC online, CBC radio, online, and television about this issue. And so right now, the government has frozen any deportations while they go through the process to figure out if there's any merit to keep them here, if there's anything that can be done, and learning more about their unique situation. It's very, very stressful, unfortunately. Another thing that we've talked about on our blogs with Ackah Law is about the student direct stream. This is the stream to Canada for those that's going to expedite the study permit process for international students. The countries that the government is focused on right now are China, India, the Philippines, and Vietnam. So if these students meet the requirements that they can have an expedited processing under the student direct stream, they will get their study permits faster if they meet all the criteria. Another thing I want to share with you is that the International Experience Class, which many people know as the Working Holiday Program, now they also have a program for co-op internship, which is really cool, so that they can come to Canada and work for up to 2 years as a part of the 34 countries that have a program with Canada. So this is a new program. It's not the working holiday. It's not the young professional. This is a separate new program under the co-op internship category. If you'd like to learn more about it, you can give me a call at Ackah Law, and we'll be happy to talk through it and see if you qualify. Another area that's new is the postgraduate work permit. Now, this program has been expanded, and that you no longer have to have a Canadian job offer to qualify for the postgraduate work permit. You can get your work permit for up to 3 years if you don't have a job offer, and you can work in any occupation and change employers at any time. So this is another strategy that the Canadian government is focused on to try to keep the highly skilled foreign students that have come to Canada. We want to keep them in Canada. So whatever the government is doing right now, they're focusing on keeping skilled, educated people in Canada and making it as easy as possible. think about a year ago, I did a podcast about the digital nomad program because other countries have them, where especially during COVID, people were living all over the world and working remotely from wherever they wanted to. And Canada did not have a program at that time. But Canada is now unveiling a program that is focused on attracting foreign digital nomads to Canada and remote workers to Canada. So this is going to be another part of that effort to attract global talent. The government wants to allow individuals with foreign employers to live in Canada and work in Canada remotely for up to 6 months under this digital nomad category. So it's really new. It just was launched on June 27th at the Collision Conference in Toronto, and Minister Fraser announced it. So we're waiting for more details to come to see how exactly it's going to work so that we can go out and let our clients know that this is viable for them. The government also announced at the same conference 6 new immigration initiatives to attract global tech talent. So, this is the Digital Nomad Plan for remote workers. Starting on July 16th, which is going to be as of Monday, looking at today's date, the Canadian government is going to introduce the H-1B visa holder stream that's going to allow up to 10,000 US visa holders for the H-1B to come to Canada and work. So stay tuned. We're looking for more and more details. This really applies to a lot of people working in the US who've been laid off and they have H-1B visas. They can move to Canada and work. The other thing is they're creating a dedicated pathway for permanent residency for STEM sector employees. So those working in science, technology, engineering, they can come to Canada and apply for an expedited permanent residence process. There's so much more to talk about. Another one is that they're focusing on faster application processing times for work permits under the Global Skills Strategy, which will now be processed within 2 weeks. So companies can access the talent as quickly as possible. This is another great program. We utilize it, and I want to make sure that you're aware of it. If you know somebody great that you want to bring to Canada and you are an employer that meets all the criteria, they are welcome to come to Canada. A couple more things. Available spaces are in the startup visa program. The government is increasing the numbers for the startup visa from 1,000 to 3,500 startup visa programs this year. And it's just incredible. Moreover, the startup visa applicants and their families will be issued open work permits for 3 years so they can reside in Canada while they're waiting to finish their application process for the startup visa and for permanent residence. Lastly, I believe there's so much new stuff that happened. An innovation stream under Canada's International Mobility Program for skilled workers has been announced, where occupations that are in demand are going to be able to get their work permits faster under the global talent stream. So there's so much information. If you're concerned or have questions, as I said, I want you to contact us and we'll be happy to help you. And I think the last big update is that Canadian foreign workers will not need study permits. If they're here working legally now, they're going to be able to go to school and work, and they will not need to get study permits to be able to go to school. Initially, there was a limit of up to 6 months they could do study without a study permit. And the government has removed those barriers completely. So you can be working full time and taking any program you want that's more than 6 months at the same time. And you no longer need to get a study permit. If you'd like to learn more about any of these changes, updates to regulations and processes, please do give me a call at Ackah Business Immigration Law at the number below, or reach out to us at contact@Ackah Law. I hope this has been helpful. It just tells you I take a few weeks away and the government changes everything. So I want to make sure you know as much as we know as soon as it happens. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care. Bye-bye.